Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to the City of Urbana Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission meeting. We have a full and wonderful agenda. It is Tuesday, September 16th. It is 7 p.m. And Carmen, can you do the roll call?
Yes. Annie Adams.
Present.
Susan Jones. Present. Tommy Griscom.
Present.
Joshi Wang. Bruce Mickelson.
Present.
Keenan Portis.
Present.
Sarthak Prasad. Nancy Westcott. And I'm Carmen Franks.
All right. And with that, we have a quorum. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on. Approval of the minutes from the August 19th, 2025 meeting.
I just have a question for the group, maybe mostly for you, Annie. There's a community bike ride coming up. Is that date correct on the second page of the minutes, 9/21, or is it 9/20? I thought I wrote down 9/20 and then.
I believe the community bike ride is Sunday, 9/21 at 2 p.m. We'll be meeting at Logic it's Everyday Community. There's also a Bake Lab there, and that is in Champaign. And so it's the CU community bike ride this Sunday starting at 2 p.m. and everyone's welcome.
Okay, so the minutes are accurate. I move to approve the minutes.
So the minutes pass, and we are moving on. Do we have any public input? Hearing no public input, we are going to go on to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business?
I wanted to share with the group, since we've been talking about vacancies, that we have 2 new members to be appointed next week on Monday. One will be a representative of the school district, and the other one is an at-large representative, so that's really exciting. And we may have the student vacancy filled soon as well. I spoke to the director of student engagement for the high school parent-teacher student association today, and she sent an email out to a bunch of students that she said are interested in the position. So we should be getting some applicants soon. And then if we get more than one, we'll have to discuss what we do with that.
Wow, Carmen, thank you so much. That's amazing. What do we know the names of the 2 new not student people? It's okay if you can't share it.
It'll be public in a few days when the council agenda
That's
is
fine.
posted.
Oh, how exciting. Thank you. I am so excited, too, about, not that I should be more excited about high school students, but I just think it's going to be great to get that perspective because they are solely reliant on either people driving them up to a certain age or walking and biking. So that's really exciting. Thank you. Yeah, and we can figure it out. If we have more than one strong applicant, we can work through what that looks like. I'll start thinking about it now. Thank you. All right. Do we have reports of city officials and staff and reports of committees?
Of course I do. I have a long list of project updates. So I started to categorize them because the list got so long. I'm going to start with shared use path projects. Florida Avenue shared use path, the plans are 90% complete and it's cleared SHPO review. That's the same update as previously. The work is still planned for 2026, but construction may be pushed back to 2027 to more closely coincide with the larger Florida Avenue Street project.
And no money, there's money on the side path, but no money on the main. The street, I don't mean main, the street.
That is still under discussion / negotiation, whatever you want to call that, with FHWA and IDOT and
the side path, though, we have money. The money side path is with us.
Yes,
all right.
We have the money for that.
Thank you. All right.
It's an ITEP funded project. Then the Baker's Lane shared use path, the easements have been secured from the park. From the Park District, and the Forest Preserve. The construction went out for bid on the 3rd of September, and it closes on the 18th this week, still to be completed in 2026. Additional info for the group. I was asked last meeting about feedback from residents, if we received anything else since John presented to BPAC back in, what was that, in the winter? And no, we have not received any additional resident feedback from that.
And I would just like to follow up. I want to thank, Jeff might not be listening now, but I know there was Jeff and I forget who else sat out there and spent a really long time talking to the residents where that path is going to be running along behind their houses, and just really worked with them and tried to explain it's not going to be a road. It's going to be for bikes. And I just really want to thank Jeff, and I don't know why I'm spacing who the other person was, but there were two people that just kept talking to folks and helping them out. And I just really appreciate that, because you know, it will be, they'll be happy once it's in, but it is scary to see change like that happening.
Okay, and then there's one more shared use path, Perkins Road shared use path that's up by the border of Urbana. The construction is substantially completed on that. Then roadway projects, there's larger street projects, Country Club Road and Perkins Road. This design includes widening the south sidewalk to a shared use path to extend the shared use path I just mentioned according to the bike and pedestrian master plans. And we will add a new sidewalk on the north side between Willow Road and Cunningham. The plan is to bid the project in November and complete construction in 2026. Lincoln Avenue corridor study, no update from last month, but I did see several bikers during rush hour between Nevada and Green yesterday and thought this project is pretty important for them. Okay, well, Lincoln Avenue, the North Lincoln Avenue from Washer to Killarney, we are going to hear an update on that project shortly, so I will let the team speak about that one. Florida Avenue from Wright to Hillcrest. This is the larger Florida Avenue project you just asked about. The intersection design details are getting reviewed by IDOT, specifically Race and Vine Street intersections with Florida. After the review is done, the city would like to share the preliminary design with BPAC, and the raised grant agreement is still under discussion with John and IDOT. And the team may be ready to present this to BPAC in November about the intersection details. Illinois and Vine Street project that's currently underway right now. It's in the preliminary plan phase. This includes Illinois Street from Race to Vine and Vine from Illinois to Main Street. Design is likely to include lane reductions on both Vine and Illinois, turn lane changes at the intersections, and crosswalk improvements.
And are you studying accident rates and how accidents are happening on those streets? I know numerous people have had accidents on those streets.
This is Justin's project, so I'll let him
Justin.
chime in.
Yeah, so we've provided crash data to our consultant that's doing the phase one design for the project. So they've done that analysis. But generally, we're able to identify, just based on the traffic volumes alone, that both of those sections are pretty good candidates for road diets.
Thank you. I think that's exciting. That street, this has needed it for a very long time. So I'm excited to see what it looks like. Thank you.
Okay, then moving on. Last month, you asked about the high-pressure surface treatment that occurred on Broadway from High to Washington. So the pavement markings are not going to change, but they will be added back. Since this was a preventative maintenance treatment, we are not making changes to the cross-section, so that's why they're going to stay the same. The markings will be placed sometime this fall. Then the traffic signal improvements, these are the audio device upgrades. This is moving toward the final bid documents now. Sidewalk projects, the sidewalk improvements project for FY25, sodding and restoration is underway now. Most of the sidewalk segments have been constructed, but there are some areas that have yet to begin that were added onto the contract. The equity and quality of life projects is EQL. The streetlights from FY22. Construction is substantially complete. One question for the group, I think last month Annie, you mentioned that the lights were really bright. Question is how you feel about the warmth or the temperature of the lighting, because there was some concern previously about the 3000 K lights. But those are still considered dark sky compliant. The lantern styles themselves are not 100% cut off from the uplight, but they're mostly cut off since they do have covers on them. I do plan to go out there and check after this meeting to see how it looks. I haven't been out there yet, but just if you have any additional thoughts on the brightness related to that temperature, I mean, please.
They're
let us
not
know.
able, it's not like there's not a dimmer switch is what I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's on and off. And then the Cobras, the big tall ones, those are beautiful. Just the only thing is the lights, I don't know what happened, but the lights, because I was looking at them the other day, the lights are down. They are all facing down, but for some reason, when you come off Anderson and walk towards them, you'll see that they're just right at your eye level, which is weird. So I don't know how that's happening, but it's a thing.
Well,
it's
I'll
weird.
go check them out, hopefully
Yeah.
tonight.
I'll just be
John plans
curious,
to
yeah.
check them out sometime soon, too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
can
Thank you.
Continue discussion on that.
Yeah, and they're a nice light. Don't get me, the color is pretty. I appreciate that, yeah.
Our
I personally
standard-
appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else does too. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Sue lives over there, so it affects her world.
I looked at them and I was like, okay, I don't know if they're really that blinding or not, because you've primed me to be like, oh, they're, I don't know. They did seem like, wait a minute, couldn't we put the shade down a little lower? But it wasn't, it didn't just, I don't think it would distract me.
And I also feel like Urbana residents really have no compunction about contacting the city about anything. So my theory is if, so I'll just be curious what your experience is. But my theory is if the lights are bothersome, folks would have let us know. But I'm open to see like what your experience is of it.
Well, our standard for pedestrian and street lights is still evolving, so we're open to feedback there. What else do we have? Okay, the Equity and Quality Life, the FY25 program that includes sidewalks, ramps, streetlights, and some traffic calming devices on Broadway, Kerr, and Cottage Grove. That design is still underway. And then grants update, the Safe Routes to School grant. I met with MTD and RPC over the past month. There's going to be a non-infrastructure grant application. That's later in the agenda for tonight. I'm still coordinating with the school district and MTD on a potential infrastructure grant for speed feedback signs. But the city is not going to pursue a second non-infrastructure grant, as I had mentioned last month, because you can't have more than one school district apply for the grant. And we're limited to only $50,000 per grant application for the non-infrastructure, and MTD is going to use that full budget for what they have planned. So maybe in the next cycle. But other promising news related to grants, the grants consultant that the city has hired has kicked off a second task order to put together a grant strategy document for the city. So they're reviewing all of our plans like the capital improvement plan, the comprehensive plan, the bike and pedestrian master plans, and then using their extensive knowledge of grants that are out there, kind of putting those two things together, the needs with what's out there, what can we do, put a strategy together for us. So, yeah. Oh, and then I don't want to steal Bruce's thunder for a subcommittee update, but for VO, I did reach out to the contact there, and he responded that he could not share the contracts with me. So that's all I have for an update there.
With Ken's permission, a footnote on the working group, we had Sarthak, Ken and me, and a city representative, that was Richie. He's gone. We sort of felt, I think it was another time, we sort of reached a stopping point in that we agreed basically to sort of follow or come up with a plan which configures well with the Champaign and with the university insofar as that information is forthcoming. And then we're sort of in a holding pattern until we have another city representative on the committee. So when that gets sorted out.
Well, we do have 2 planner positions open right
Okay.
now,
I
so
wasn't complaining, I'm just telling where we are.
I've been reaching out to our city planner, Kevin, about this, but I have not heard back yet, so I will follow up with him and the community development director to see if they could be involved.
Okay, thanks.
And I can follow up that Nancy and I will be meeting with the Urbana Police Department to talk about an event working with the lights, hopefully, and safety. But we, like, as was suggested at the last meeting, we're going to ask them what they would find interesting, what they think would be helpful, and how BPAC can work with them on that. So just let you know that is happening next week. And then I do have one sort of question regarding the crosswalk feedback buttons. At Lincoln in Pennsylvania, you have to press a button and then you cross the street and you have to press the next button. So it doesn't activate all four at once. It activates one at a time, which is a little irritating. Because you got to walk fast enough to get to the other side to hit it. So that's just my one thing to think about. I know, obviously, that is the intersection. I think, isn't that where the Lincoln Avenue study ends, at Lincoln in Pennsylvania?
I know it goes to
It
Florida.
already goes to Florida. Okay, so that was why I haven't been bringing it up, because I knew that we would get that would be considered, as part of it. I just don't know exactly when that will be happening now. And I realized it the other day, because I didn't push across the street, and I was like, well, I've already pushed the button once. I realized, oh, man, you got to push all of them, push them all. So that's just my little 2 cents on that. All right, so now we are, unless there's any other reports or updates? No? We have new business. Very excited. We have the North Lincoln Avenue Washer to Killarney project presentation from Public Works.
All right, thank you. I'm Justin Swinford. I'm an assistant city engineer at the engineering division in Public Works. And then I've got Cindy Lose with me tonight from Hanson Professional Services. So they're our consultant for this project. As you may be aware, the city was awarded through an SS4A grant through RPC, what is called a demonstration grant for the Safe Routes or Safe Streets for All program. We applied for more money. We wanted to do the full implementation. We'd identified Lincoln Avenue, this section, as a candidate for road diet, reconfiguring from 4 lanes to 3. And FHWA awarded us a demonstration grant instead. So less money to essentially try it before we fully implement it. So that essentially expanded our phase 1 design engineering or study phase, and so we're going to go through tonight what we've identified as the improvements that we can make for that demonstration, and then what we are looking at for the final build out after we get through the demonstration process. So and we can also talk about schedule and the status of that grant too towards the end. So with that, I will let Cindy go through all the fun technical details of the project.
Thanks, Justin. All right, so here's our agenda. We already kind of did introductions. We'll talk about the project purpose, the existing conditions, talk about the demonstration project, and then, like he stated, the final quarter options. So as you know, Lincoln Avenue has a lot of diverse land uses from Washer to Killarney. There's student housing, residential, some commercial. So trying to, how do we right size the road to benefit all of those land uses and the residents? We're really looking to provide active transportation for this. So right now it's very car dominant, 4-lane roadway, sidewalks all the way on the west side, not much on the east side. Some of them are very narrow. A lot of them are non-compliant. There are some parts that are compliant, but how do we make it better for, it's a heavy transit route with the college students, but how do we make it a better experience and also for the pedestrian and bicycles? So the idea is to eliminate road diet to provide space for those other modes and also reduce crashes, because typically you see when you have a 4-lane, there's a lot of driveways here, so left turners, stop traffic causing crashes. So historically, a 3-lane is safer than a 4-lane. So existing, again, it's 4 11-foot lanes with, sidewalks 4 to 5 feet wide and not consistent sidewalks on the east side. And just, we observed for a day, three of our employees went out and just observed conditions, bicycles on the sidewalk, cars stopped behind each other to turn left. These students just got off the bus and are just walking randomly across the roadway. Lots of people trying to get on the bus, and then someone just walking along the east side in the curb line, which is not very comfortable. So for the demonstration project, like we talked about, you guys are pretty familiar with the road diet going from 4 lanes to 3, which provides space then for on-lane bicycle facilities. The biggest catch with the demonstration grant is we cannot build any permanent facilities. So we can restripe the roadway. We can't fix any of the pedestrian problems. We can't fix any ramps. We can't add new ramps. Looking at all the, all the other things that when we do a real project, there's lots of other things, but for this, we can't do any of those. We're going to really be testing out the 3-lane facilities with the bikes. And so again, this is what that'll look like, 3 11-foot lanes with your bike lanes and the same sidewalks that are out there today. So we're going to walk through the corridor and kind of show you highlight the areas where where the improvements are kind of being made. So starting at Washer, putting in a striped median here. This is kind of where the bike lane starts. We do have, we mark where the bus stops are, so shared bus bike lanes. And then the bike lanes end here at Washer and the bikes can go into the facility at King Park. At Bradley Avenue currently has the south lanes are through left and through right. One of the big things we noticed is it really could use a dedicated left turn lane. So in this, we're going to restripe Bradley to make dedicated lefts and then through rights on both legs. We're also improving the left turns on Lincoln Avenue by moving the lefts over so you have better sight distance as you're trying to see across to see the cars on the other side. Right now, it's what we call negatively offset, so that you're looking into the car, into the side of the car in front of you, you can't really see the cars coming. So trying to improve that is a big safety improvement at intersections. And again, there's a bus stop here approaching from the south. Again, shared bus bike. We were trying to find options on the southbound bus to kind of separate. Ideally, we would have gotten some kind of striping in there of a boulevard, just not feasible with the striping project. But working with IDOT, they did request that we move the bus stop away from the intersection in this specific case. So for a couple months, the bus stop moves back from where the current stop is. It just moves back to the end here, so students have to walk a little bit. But we've met with MTD and talked about that. Then the bike lanes end at Kettering Park Drive. It's kind of a nice, it's a place where we can send the bikes around to get to Killarney. We can mark sharrows so they can still use. Eventually, in the bike plan is to get bikes all the way across the interstate. That's just not going to happen right now with this demonstration project. We also know that the buses need a place to kind of pause, as their bus drivers have about a 10-minute stop between routes where they stop and go to the gas station to get a drink. Sometimes they're stopping in the roadway on Killarney or on the back part of Kettering Park Drive. So striping them a space where they can have space to pause is going to be safer for everybody in the long run. So, and then that helps us learn like permanently what we can kind of do there. And then in this phase, we don't really make any changes at Killarney. Everything stays as it is other than starting the merging here just south. So with the demonstration grant, one of the big things is data collection. They want to know, did it work or not? So some things we're going to do, the RPC has gotten some new equipment to do some pedestrian and bicycle counts. We've also done some of that counting a day or two. we're also, so as we look at the network for vehicles and looking at travel patterns, we're looking at accident data not only on Lincoln, but along some of the other major corridors, Prospect or Neal, and thinking about where cars might go if they feel like there's not enough capacity on Lincoln. So we can use big data. There's some streetlight data where they basically use Bluetooth data. And so we can get that data for 6 months before the demonstration starts and look at what are the travel patterns then, and then we can get the data during the demonstration and compare, well, Lincoln Avenue is 3 lanes, did that make one of those other streets over capacity? Or how did the cars move around, and does that cause us pause somewhere else in the system, which we think is really important to understand. You know, based on the capacity, we think Lincoln will work pretty well as 3 lanes, but did we then impact something else that we didn't really think about? And so then during the demonstration, we'll do some more pedestrian bicycle counts, and then we'll also do surveys. So we're really thinking about how do we, you know, even before the project starts, maybe try to get some surveys on the MTD buses, get some QR codes with some survey monkeys that people can fill out about how do they feel about the existing conditions, and then do some more of that survey collection during the demonstration, just to get a pretty good feel of how is it working and what's the perception of the users. And then after the demonstration, we will do a more formal public information meeting. So far, we've held 2 stakeholder meetings in addition to this meeting tonight, and those were very focused on folks in the corridor or some adjacent users of the corridor to try to get some of that direct feedback so we can get this demonstration grant agreement approved. And then we'll do a formal public informational meeting after that, so people have kind of felt what it looks like. And at that meeting, we will discuss the other options that I'll present to you here shortly. One of the big things with the demonstration grant, it is a demonstration, so we do have to revert back to the original traffic configuration, which we've had some feedback at our other meetings of, so you're going to teach people to do this, and then you're going to unteach people to do this. That seems silly. We've asked several times now, do we really, if it's working, do we really have to go restripe it as 4 lanes? And I think the answer this last week was yes.
Because a lot of what we're doing with the demonstration has been kind of approved on a provisional basis for the temporary nature of it, then IDOT isn't so comfortable letting us just keep it even. So we would put it in place, revert back to the original, and then move through our final design and try to get this constructed, hopefully starting in 2027. So it will be kind of a short period relatively for the demonstration. So hopefully it'll give people a taste of how good it can be, and maybe not long enough to train them permanently, but we'll try it out.
And what's the length of the demonstration project? Do you have those?
It's about 0.8 of a mile.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
90 days, I think is the...
Yeah, 2 to 3 months. And so
Yeah.
the goal is that we have it out to bid to award in January, and then do the construction. So really set up some traffic control, unstripe, restripe over spring break. So when folks come back from spring break, this is what it looks like. And then we have two good months with students there and to get some of their feedback.
Maybe when you put it back, just use like robust chalk paint. Just kidding. No, I understand. I mean, it would be disingenuous. IDOT, it could become a problem with IDOT then wouldn't be allowed to do demonstration grants because people would be upset saying, well, you didn't really put it back. And anyway, so yeah, I understand.
And I think it would be different if some of the ramps were more compliant, and that was some of his concern was the non-compliant aspects for the pedestrians and things that we just can't do with this money. So
It seems like an exciting, straightforward, low-budget, pragmatic experiment. And your only investment basically is paint, and then whatever you use to get the paint off. And so compared to an awful lot with what goes on, this seems like a terrific thing to give a try.
Right. So any other questions on the demonstration? You can have some more, otherwise I'll move on to our other kind of two final build options.
I'll just have comments at the end. So maybe we'll just wait to see all the builds and then we can go from there because I'd like to, well, there's just some things I'd like to talk about, but yeah.
Okay. So one option is to make the on-street bike lanes permanent. So we actually mill and overlay the roadway. We've fixed curbs where needed. We build the new sidewalks, build the full sidewalk on the east side, new ramps everywhere, fix the sidewalks on the west side where needed. So this, I'll walk through the corridor again, and these are some permanent improvements that we can actually do with this. So down at Washer, we can put in a median for folks to cross the road with rapid flashing beacons to make it safe there. In that case, we move we look at where the bus stop is. The bus stop has to move a little bit to get out of that space, but we're able to put in these permanent things at this point.
And would you be able to do stop bars?
We can.
Okay.
Yeah, those are just not currently shown, but they can be. Again, we can, fix the ramps on Washer, which are terrible, stripe the crossings, all of those things. You guys are very familiar, but other audiences weren't on what, the median with the rapid flashing beacons look like. And then up by Onyx in the atrium, again, we have space without blocking left turns to add another median with rapid flashing beacons. This is a high bus stop area. Lots of people crossing the road here to get when they get on and off the bus. So Bradley Avenue, this is one of the bigger changes. We actually, to make the timing work for the signals and for the capacity analysis for the intersection, we actually add right turn lanes. So we widen Bradley to add right turn lanes on both legs, which that just, it's needed and it really helps with, there's a lot of traffic over COVID. People found the back way to come up to Bradley to get to Lincoln, and that seems to be, we were really surprised the amount of cars before COVID and after COVID that use that kind of windy back way into this area. And again, we fix the left turns so you can see better as you're trying to turn left. The other thing we can do here is we actually introduce a median for the bus stop. So in this case, we're able to separate the bikes here and have the bikes go behind. The bus stops in lane. This is similar to some of the stuff we did down on Green Street and Wright Street. So separating, this is the one place along the corridor where we're able to separate the modes. And then we move it back so that the bus stops, and then we can move up and people can get around to turn right and whatnot. Again, we still stop at the bike lane stop at Kettering Park Drive. Unfortunately, we aren't able to get a median in here just with the left turns. At this intersection, there still will be rapid flashing beacons. The one thing we do, we made sure we were aware of the bus stop heading northbound is actually on Kettering Park Drive down here at the other side of this large driveway. So we build the sidewalk around the corner and connect them so they can actually get there on hard surface. And then here we are able to do a permanent bus pull out for the bus to pause. MTD's ask us, can we scoot the pause area farther north, closer to the gas station? So we're looking at some of those things. I just haven't updated all of these. We're using the same presentation, but we are coordinating with them and looking at what can we do with that.
And you can just see people that live there just being like, on those cold days, you'll be like, oh, I'm just going to go around and sit in the bus. I don't have to sit in the cold air, stop. That's amazing.
And then at Killarney, we are able, so Killarney also has accidents from the left that don't have good sight distance. So we remove the median on this side and shift the lefts over, which makes us redo this one traffic signal to get the signals lined up. But that then improves the sight distance in this intersection to make it safer for those left turns too. So that's the on-street option. And then we were looking at, again, always a road diet, looking at option with a multi-use path. And again, there's different schools of thought on, do the bikes like to be separate, or would they rather have a wider space and not feel a little safer away from the vehicles because we don't have room to put in buffers. So looking at alternative with the multi-use path, we still add the sidewalk on the east side the whole way. The big thing we have to do with this is we will have to relocate all of the power poles because of how they kind of meander through right now. I mean, maybe. I mean, right, where this just is showing straight there. We can't really just curve around the poles because they're just an awkward space to make it fit and still have, some kind of, with bike paths, in IDOT world, you're supposed to have a 2-foot shoulder on each side, and then you kind of have the 3-foot from the back of curb for signs and things, and 3-foot. So there's 5-foot is kind of a sweet spot off of the back of curb for the multi-use path. So in this option, again, the road gets much narrower, so maybe it makes people slow down a little more because the road isn't, even though the lanes are the same width, the curbs have moved in. But again, we still have the median here down by Washer with the rapid flashing beacons. The same median here at the Onyx and Atrium. Improvements at Bradley Avenue. In this case, we have a bus pull-off because the bikes are on the path, so we have a whole pull-off for the bus in this location. Still improving the left turn lanes, adding the right turn lanes. And then the one nice thing is in this location where we can't get a median, it does shorten the crossing distance. And this is a pretty high density bus stop and crossing for students. Again, we still have the bus pull off here. And then we fix the left turns at Kettering or at Killarney.
I was thinking that the picture of the side paths, like the reality would probably be awfully congested and busy. Between bicyclists and pedestrians and people doing the bus and.
Potentially, yeah.
With everything torn up when we get to this phase, is it worth interacting with Ameren to see about burying some of those utility lines? It might result in more breathing space for construction.
Yeah, so the off-street path, or just the multi-use path option would definitely require us to coordinate with Ameren, and so we'd have to reach out to them and just figure out what those options look like, what the costs for for all of that is. But then there would also be land acquisition necessary in order to just expand the right of way, or at least get easements for us to build something out wider to the west side there.
I was just going to say, big picture, thank you. This is just long overdue. I really appreciate all the effort everyone has put into applying for this grant and getting the grant, and then, doing these drawings. The side path, the side path would, for the city, if you think of it as an investment, I think the properties along a side path, those property values will go up because of the side versus paint on the ground bike paths. So bigger picture, a 10-foot side path really is a huge community asset. Anyone from age 8 to 80 can use those side paths. You don't mind your kids biking up and down that, but in the road, you're going to be that road is going to be, we're going to have to obviously lower speed limits on that street. I know making the road thinner will lower speed limits naturally, but the other thing I'd like to say is the crash rate in Champaign County, as we know, is very high right now. It's the highest it's ever been. So anything we can do to encourage safety. So that's just one comment I have. I have additional comments, but feel free if anyone has more comments.
There's the aesthetics too. I mean, in case you haven't noticed, most of the accesses into the university look like they're not exactly charming. And And this is going to make us, it's going to make the, the drive down to the gates and to the campus proper look a lot more attractive.
I think you'd have a lot more people biking on a 10-foot side path. To me, I'm very excited about that. But yes, the other thing is King Park. I'm very excited to see that we're getting some kind of access to King Park. I know that we're going to see after this a presentation on King Park, which is going to be getting a revamp, which is going to be really great for the community and people over there. But do you have anything to say about crossing? And do you have numbers on people trying to get across that street or anything?
I don't have any numbers. We did attend the stakeholder meeting. That was at Vineyard Church, I believe. And we are all for the multi-use path, I believe. That would be really great for King Park. And the path in front of King Park on the east side, we're thinking about, we are going to bring that path into the park a little bit more. So it would match up with ours. It's going to be a multi-use path as well. So I would keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I'm incredibly happy to see that you have a pedestrian refuge island, and you're making it, thin enough that like kids on their own can cross the street, wait, cross the street, go. So I think that's incredibly exciting. I know when this was first presented, there were different questions from council, but one thing was that I feel sort of got lost was this type of infrastructure tends to, if I am correct, decrease crashes by 30% was one of the numbers that I remember, and I think it might be really important to continue to reiterate that point, because it's not just 30% for pedestrians or cyclists, it is 30% for all folks using that space. And this is a real standard. We're not doing anything cutting edge. We're doing what is now considered, the safest mode of transportation. And if we have the ability to touch these streets, like I like to say, about once every 50 years, we get to touch a street. And if we get, this is our 50-year moment, let's do it well. Let's plan for the future. The other comment that council gave the last time they saw this presentation was, we want you to do this on the busiest day of the year to make sure that traffic doesn't get backed up. And so I just want you to be aware that that will be a question that's coming your way. I've studied traffic a lot in my life. I understand what happens. I mean, it all works out, but I don't, like you're saying, you're going to look at adjacent streets, because that's what one person said to me, is they said, I don't want all the cars running through this other council person's neighborhood. Like you were saying, people do change their traffic patterns, but that's just something to be aware of that you will probably hear again is, can you do this on the busiest day of the year? And I'm not sure that's really the wisest day to do something like this, because it's like what we've done with our parking lots, like why Walmart's parking lots are so massive is because we have zoned them that they have to be for the busiest shopping day of the year, which would be Thanksgiving. So for one day a year, we've created all this extra pavement, which is not a really wise use of land. So that's just my one thing. Again, that side path, my husband is not like a hardcore cyclist, but if we could get that side path out there, I could get him to bike to Maple and Yoke, which he loves. So I just know, like, that would be, I don't think I'd be able to get him to bike on the street, but I do suspect we'd be able to get him out there. But there's that. So I'm excited to see that that's happening too, to go to Maple and Yoke. Their car parking lot is jammed. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but it is jammed every weekend, and weekdays even. I was there at 10 o'clock on a weekday. I was like, this is nuts. The other thought I have is surveys at the bus stations. MTD is going to know way better how to get surveys and collect data than I will. And normally we have someone here who represents MTD, so I'm sure you will work with them on that. But getting the data, there's a lot of, one thing I've noticed, been in this for many years. What people don't notice, they notice the big cars with the one driver in them. They don't notice all the people moving around the cars, all the people living around the spaces. They don't see that. They just focus on the cars. And so the busiest day of the year, frankly, is every day of the year. We think of the busiest day of the year as the number of cars that come through our city. That is not true. The busiest day of the year are the people that live along that corridor, that move along that corridor, and that are trying to get to work every day, or to school, or wherever they're trying to get. So Now, you were saying lots of people crossing the street. Definitely emphasize that. Say, let people know that there are people just illegally, like I always like to say, illegally crossing. Well, how else are they supposed to cross at this point, honestly? I mean, I was looking last night at King Park. I'm like, how are people even getting to King Park? They could try to be 3 blocks. I mean, what person in their right mind is going to go 3 blocks up the road, use a signalized intersection, and then walk 3 blocks back to cross the street? No one.
I think what
So-
we're trying to tell you is we're strongly supportive of this.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, and my
good
other
to hear.
Pom-poms and eager for you to move forward.
my other thought is the bus stop. When you were saying there's a bus stop pull-off, maybe include a photo of Green Street, because people might not be able to visualize quite what you were talking about there, but the bus, because you were saying you're going to have a bus stop, because I can see people getting really, I've watched a lot of these presentations, and people will just get caught up in one thing. And so I just know there was something about the bus. You were saying, oh, it's the same thing that we did on Green Street with the bus stops. And I was like, I know what that is, but I'm not sure other people will understand that exactly. So that's my final comment.
I have a comment. So, in principle, I like a shared use path off the street better than the on street. But I want to ask if there are greater impacts to trees with a shared use path versus keeping it on the street.
That's a good point. We're looking into that. So that starts to fall into, as we get more into the phase 2 kind of portion of what are, when we get to the end of phase 1, we'll have a pretty good idea of what we want to build, even, between those 2 options. And so, when we get to that point, we would want to know exactly what all those impacts are. So our arborist is working on an assessment of all the trees along the corridor right now, and so we'll have that information. But ultimately, as difficult as it can be, cost is going to be a major factor in this too, because that alternative is one where we're doing land acquisition. We have to move the curb line of the pavement in a little bit, so we're doing more actual work on the roadway, and then building that additional path itself, and the hefty price tag that's likely to come with relocating the power. So, we can, this nice segue into kind of the schedule for the project and then how it's funded too. We're when we took this to council in November of last year, I think, to get the resolution passed, just to kind of set this up in IDOT terms, to be able to break the demonstration portion out. We had originally identified doing this demonstration pretty much right now. It's starting in August and going through September and October, at a time where there would be a lot of students, which obviously we want to capture, but council had mentioned that they wanted to capture those busy days, which is nails on a chalkboard to any traffic engineer. So we are targeting spring now, just because that's, and where we currently are, that's as soon as we'd be able to do it, in a time where we hopefully have decent enough weather that people are out using, all these facilities as they typically would, and then having those students here, because we're, the student populations at those multifamily complexes are going to be play a big factor in, how all of this analysis plays out, and how everything is used. So that's currently our schedule. That being said, we are still, RPC has an agreement with FHWA for the SS4A grant as a whole. This demonstration portion is going to require an amendment to that agreement, and that is still kind of in limbo. And so we're waiting. It's on my agenda now to kind of bug our FHWA contact weekly, just to get an update, so that he can ask, where we stand with that agreement. And so we're waiting. We're going to continue moving everything forward until we get to a point where we either know that it's not happening, or we don't know if it's happening, and we need to, maybe change course figure out what that looks like moving forward. Ultimately, regardless of any safety improvements, road diet, anything, the road needs to be resurfaced. That's one of the key factors in doing this project. And so we're going to do a project moving forward. If we hadn't gotten a demonstration grant, if we'd gotten the implementation grant, we would have done all this study and said, all right, we're just going to do the road diet. We're not going to try it. We're just going to do it. It's likely that we would have gone that direction regardless. And so we still would have that option. It's just that this has provided us that opportunity to try it out and to do that study, which maybe would get more buy-in. We are going to maintain our schedule to still be ready for construction in, I think I said 27 earlier.
27 or 28.
27
just
or
depending
28,
on-
yeah. But there's money available through CUATS that I think we would be up for along that construction timeline. So that's where we are and where we're going. I'm happy to answer any more questions about the demonstration or the project as a whole.
I understand that the side path's extremely expensive, but you never know. We might be able to do what we did for Florida Avenue, which is you get a separate grant altogether for it in probably 2029 for all the reasons. But my question is there a reason if that side path were built, it would be, it's not on the side of King Park, it's on the other side of the street. Is there a reason for that?
No.
It's on the side of
It's on the
It's
west
on
side,
the side.
yes.
Oh, great. That's great. I'm not the best at reading maps, so I appreciate that.
A lot of sidewalk to add on the east side of the street, but that would just be
Yeah,
normal
because I know.
sidewalk.
Yeah, I know. I was poking around, and looking on. I was like, there's not a lot of sidewalk on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I thought maybe that's why you were putting there. And then my other question is, and this is, you're just going to say no to it, but I'm just going to bring it up. Is there any way you can do a 10-foot side path just on the existing road? Does that make sense?
Like at the same grade as the road, you mean?
Yeah, like you use the actual. This is like Tom. Yeah, you use the actual road infrastructure.
Like a cycle track, if you've heard of that,
Yeah,
but a
right.
multi-use. You mean multi-use or just for bikes?
I could care less.
Oh,
Just a
well,
protected road, protected. You know what I mean? Like it's a way to
Yeah.
afford because you already have that infrastructure there. It's a way to afford the 10-foot infrastructure or 8-foot. Choose your. I don't know if that's possible. It would be two-way or whatever. So that's my thought.
Did that make sense? Would there be room for a two-way cycle track rather than a multi-use path?
Yeah, I mean, you would be basically taking one of those 11-foot lanes and using 10 foot of it for that space, and then have maybe a foot of buffer that in some communities, they've put up delineators between there, which is good and bad. They get hit a lot, and the snow plows hate them, right? So, we were even looking at some delineators just for the demonstration project, and it was like, no, like it's not worth it. So,
This team is trying to achieve difficult balances, to avoid creating what's being called a strode,
Yeah.
which is a road which tries to do everything, ends up doing nothing well. This is, a popular press kind of thing. And you're handling it with expertise and caution. And my question is, at some point, do you need this group to go on record in support of this initiative? Do you need some kind of a letter from us or something else that's, you can tell us later if you need to.
so
but-
I mean, I think something in your minutes tonight that you approve moving forward with the project is good. When we go later on to the public meeting after the demonstration, you may or may not want to go on record with which one you choose. I don't know about that, but
I think at this point certainly an endorsement of the project is helpful when it comes to applying for if we were to apply for future or funding for the future phase, and we would probably come back and say, hey, we'd like you to say that you're fully in support of whatever final design alternative we come up with.
Do we need a motion now?
He's saying we don't need that now. He'll come back.
You don't think we need it now?
No.
Okay, all right. But come back and talk to us.
Would we be able to do a verbal?
it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt to have a motion just because we have to do two separate reports, one for the demonstration and one for the full project. So to have in the public involvement section of this, your support is great.
Do we support this? Can I say avoid how do you want to do this? Do you want to just do a verbal vote, or do you want to do,
Well, the motion being, the committee wishes to express support for the plans as they are currently taking shape.
I would second that motion.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion passes.
Thank you.
But yeah, I
you.
did have some follow-up questions.
Yes.
So just quickly regarding the cycle track, there's other potential issues when it comes to intersections too with the signals. So it's a nice idea, but yeah,
Walk away from the idea.
might present some challenges. But yeah, regarding like separation between the bike path and the car traffic. It's interesting because there's a lot of parallels between this and then the Lincoln Avenue corridor study for the other part of Lincoln Avenue, where there was also, I think, 3 different options presented, and at least one of them was a multi-use path for much of the length, I think, of that project. And then another proposal was to have bike paths. And I don't know what all the feedback was regarding those different proposals. That I believe they did end up going with the bike paths. And my personal feedback to them in person was, I like the idea of the bike paths if you can somehow provide some kind of separation. And I know for the demonstration portion, you're going to be limited in that regard. I guess I'm curious, do you have more flexibility when it comes to that if you were to go with bike lanes for the final project? Could you put in some kind of buffer or some kind of like bollards or something?
Yeah, we've discussed, flexible delineators, and, I think it's something that's still on our radar to look at as far as like what products are out there that would be easily implemented and then removed, because being in Central Illinois, the weather half the year is going to be a problem with anything that's vertically, in the road. But I think, another constraint with doing the proposed cross section with the road diet is just that we're not expanding the roadway any, and we're really just taking one of those lanes and splitting it into two, one 11-foot lane into 2 5.5-foot lanes. So there really isn't much room for adding a buffer into that.
And so I assume you're not planning to have any kind of buffer for the demonstration portion, right?
No.
So I guess I'm just imagining you might receive some feedback based on how the bike lanes are implemented during the demonstration, even if the final implementation of the bike lanes could be different. So just so you're aware, some people might not be as receptive to the bike lanes if there's because there's no separation at all, when potentially in the future there could be.
Yeah, I think that's kind of that'd be part of that discussion of, if most people are uncomfortable with the bike lanes in the demonstration, then would they be more comfortable
Right.
off the street completely on a shared use path, or would they be more comfortable with just an extra foot buffer or something
Right.
like that?
Yep.
But because either of those scenarios creates changes to the pavement width,
Right.
and then we get into all those added costs. So if it's it may be the case that if we're touching one of those curb lines, it's just going to push us towards the multi-use path option because it triggers so much cost. Or maybe there is a happy medium in there that's less expensive, but certainly things to consider based on the feedback that we get.
I'll just go on record saying if there's money, I think the multi-use path would probably be the way to go for this. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm thinking if, like having the bike lanes with no separations might, and when people see there's a ton of bikes on them, but gosh, wouldn't it be better if it, I think it might end up getting more support for the multi-use pass. We'll see.
And I guess just to clarify, one of the differences between this and the Lincoln Avenue corridor study is that, as I understand it, at least the multi-use path here it would cover the entire length of the portion of the road that is being covered by this project. Whereas with the Lincoln Avenue corridor study, there were complications, whether it be a multi-use path, but then you'd have to like exit the path and then cross the street to get onto a bike lane or something, and it was
Right, we didn't have the space for that.
yeah, it was a bit of a mess.
Had to, yes.
But it sounds like this would be a bit cleaner, and I think it could be much more naturally like integrated into the existing urban environment.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So yeah, I think that there's still like the question of land acquisition and getting the space that we need to and moving power poles and things like that. But at this point, then sure,
We
can push for that.
Maybe we get the Urbana Park District to buy it and make it into a linear park like the 606 in Chicago. I don't know why he's looking at the ceiling all of a sudden, but imagine that as a beautiful linear park.
That would be nice. That's not a question for me. I can relay that question, but that's not me for sure. I'll keep that in mind.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your work. We
All
look
right.
forward to seeing where this goes.
Thanks for the discussion.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we're going to have the King Park Master Plan presentation. Very excited to see this. Well, we can ask all our questions, but yeah, excited.
No, I understand there isn't space for it. I didn't realize how nicely these two would segue because the Lincoln Avenue project leads to King Park.
I was so worried that they would not have crosswalks. I was getting ready, like. And then when they're like, oh, look, we have crosswalks.
All right. Well, thank you all for giving me the chance to present on the King Park Master Plan. I think this will be Carmen's third time hearing it, maybe. So you can tune out a lot I'm going to say. But I first want to start off with our engagement process. So on the left, we have kind of a scheduled timeline from March to July of when we met with our King Park Committee, which is consists of City of Urbana, Habitat for Humanity, King Park, or not King Park, Dr. MLK School, that's just adjacent to King Park. We had the vice principal come from there. We also had, I think, several neighbors across the street and just from in the King Park area. So you can take a glance at that while I talk about the engagement summary we have in the middle there, the bar chart. So we went to King School, Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center, Urbana Middle School, Splash, which is one of our outreach programs, after-school programs. And we also had a parent-teacher conference at King School that we attended. I handed out over, I think, 150 to 200 flyers, and we had good attendance there. But starting with the King School engagement, here we did, I want to say, first through fifth grade. And we brought our interpretive signage boards and did a sticky dot activity, and that's typically the type of activity we do for most of the kids in that age group. So we had about 8 boards with different amenities that you can see in the engagement summary. From King School, we heard a lot about soccer, flag football, which is included in our multi-purpose field. And we also heard that short hoops are a little bit better for them. The big hoops tend to get taken over by the older children or, teenagers. So that was a biggie there. And we also heard a bike training facility play area was pretty good for them. They really liked that. But the main thing was splash pad. And before I get any deeper in that, we In order to do the splash pad, we would have to acquire the land west of King Park, which is currently Autobahn, as you guys may know. We spoke with them, and they're currently on a 15-year lease, so that's just not feasible right now. But we'll definitely keep that in mind. We do have splash pad in our, Weaver and Prairie master plan, so we'll hope to add it in there. Moving on, we had engagement at Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center. This was pretty good from them. They use King Park relatively often, as well as Blair Park. This is a mix of kids spanning from, I want to say, 1st all the way to 8th grade. And what we heard from them was that a teen hangout area was actually pretty much requested. We had an example of a terrace on our interpretive signage, and that's actually me at the bottom there in this photo at Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center. So they said they would like an area to kind of hang out after school and just, be themselves. And it's kind of an awkward age group to target what they want to do after school and just through that whole kind of teenage phase. So we heard some good things from Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center. Urbana Middle School, we heard a lot of soccer. Challenge course is where we heard this. This is very close to Blair Park. So the challenge course there is very successful, and you'll see that in our plan later. So overall, we had really, really good engagement. Lastly, Jetty Roads Day, I forgot to mention that. This is where we got our playground engagement data from. So I'll show you the final playground option we came up with. It's pretty awesome, I think, and I voted for it myself. But Jetty Roads Day was a good day to show people our process, the master plan, and as well as get engagement back for all of our playground options that we had there. I think we had 4. They were all very, very close. I think we counted, every hour, and they were all within 1 or 2 votes from each other. So it was very nice. And before I move on, is there any questions about the engagement at all?
I had a quick question. So what is a bike training area? Is that like a pump track? Or?
So it's not a pump track. What we were thinking, I should have the pictures of the interpretive signages here, but it's more of like a training area for little kids that are learning how to ride their bike.
Okay.
So we were thinking of putting this on the land we would have acquired on the west side, but since that's not possible, it's going to have to wait for another 15 years or so. Whenever that lease is up, we'll have that discussion again.
Okay.
But it's like a bike park with little stop signs and yield
little
signs.
City.
Yep.
If you've thought of Peoria, if you've been to Peoria, they have a pretty big kid training facility there. It wouldn't be on that scale, but it's the same idea. Yeah, I think it's a 12-year lease, 12 or 15-year lease. Yeah, so we'll see. So this is what's there currently. I just want to point out a few things here. We have a tennis court and bank shot basketball, half court basketball. We do have 2 pavilions here. This is the Jetty Roads Pavilion that's heavily used for events, and especially days like Jetty Roads. We have an octagon-shaped pavilion here. We have our playground. And our playground is the basis of this master plan. It's a 20-year-old playground, and this is going to be tied in with the OSLAD grant. So we typically do that whenever we replace a playground to kind of revamp the whole park as a whole. And then we have our sculpture over here from Preston Jackson, Byways to Equality. Not a lot of people see this, so we'll definitely have some elements in this master plan that'll bring people towards this more. All right, and this is, let me zoom in just a tad bit here. The full, sorry, it's a little different. Let me go back one. Master plan here. I do want to point out that I'll start on the east side first. This Lincoln frontage, this will be part of a DCEO grant opportunity. This will not be a part of the OSLAD grant opportunity that we're applying for at the end of this month, September 30th. So we're currently working on that right now. But starting on this east side, our idea is to kind of bring in the existing sidewalk more towards the west side of the park, inside to bring people towards that sculpture, and also have native plantings and bermings to kind of buffer the cars that are going 50 plus miles per hour on Lincoln Avenue. So we want to keep people away from that side, definitely. And in the kind of middle here at number 3 and number 7, we'll have our peace poles. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the peace poles that are currently there in the northeast corner, so we'll have even more there. And we'll also have King Park signage. we'll get to that later as we look at the renderings towards the bottom of the vision book. But we want to think of this area as a gateway for people coming into King Park. A lot of people walk down this sidewalk and they don't realize that they're actually walking past an Urbana park. So we want to make sure people recognize that this is an Urbana park and you're very welcome. So having those signs that indicate that this is King Park will definitely be good for us. And at number 6 here, we have a sculpture plaza. So just bringing more prominence to the Preston Jackson sculpture. We really want to make sure people understand and are able to view the sculpture. A lot of people don't even see it driving past Lincoln Avenue. I know when I was a student here at Illinois, I had no idea about King Park, and whenever I would pass it, I didn't really notice the sculpture there. So this will definitely be good there. And inside of the sculpture plaza, we will have line block seating. We even thought about, as a good donor opportunity, is to add in kind of stenciled names if you want to buy a brick on the limestone and stencil your name in. So it's just a good opportunity there. Moving more west, we'll have our multi-purpose field. This will be soccer, flag football, ultimate frisbee. We will have some soccer goals out there that'll be permanent. So hopefully the space will be used for that mostly. And towards the north here, currently we have parallel parking. That's about 12 to 15 spaces. We're going to add in some horizontal diagonal parking, and this will do, I think, 20 to 25 spaces. And we'll add in 2 accessible spaces here that are close to this median, which will connect to the sidewalk. And the sidewalk on the north side, currently it's straight, and I want to say it's a 5-foot path. We're just going to meander that just a little bit to make things a little bit more interesting instead of a straight path. And number 18 here and down here will be rain gardens, just to kind of address some of the flooding we have in this area. And this area down here, we hear from a lot of residents that it gets pretty wet, and I've seen it myself. It gets pretty like a pool almost, and up here towards the playground as well. And of course, at number 14, we do have our new playground. This is the footprint of it. We will have a fence on the back end, just to kind of stop kids from running out into the multi-purpose area, running into a soccer game, flag football, anything of that sorts. And actually, we do have some artwork that depicts Dr. King, and also big peace letters that'll go on the back of this fence. They're currently on the tennis courts fences right now, so that'll add a pop of flavor in there for sure. And then number 15, we have our performance band shelter, is what we're calling it. This will help with events during rain, like Jetty Rhodes Day. If the band needs to, take cover, this will accommodate for a band to still perform under the shelter, while also having performance seating in the area, picnic tables. We envision, maybe movie nights there. So, and at number 13, we will have a new path that just kind of comes in, also along the playground here. So that's more accessible. All right, and down here, we'll actually add in 2 more accessible spaces. You can't really see them there. You might be able to see the lines, but our idea is to have people access the pavilion just more. We've heard from a lot of neighbors and people that attend Jetty Rhodes Day that usually they're entering the park here, buses are coming here, and they have to walk all the way down. So adding in these 2 accessible spaces will just help people with maybe disabilities, or if you're in a wheelchair, to easily get there. And over here on the west corner, we have a reading circle. This is actually requested to us by the King School just adjacent. They said they would like to see kind of an area where kids can go after school and maybe use it during class. So we're calling it an outdoor classroom reading circle. And this will also be limestone block seating. And on the west here, we're taking out tennis. We didn't really hear from the community that tennis was a big sport to be played there. We also monitor it pretty heavily. I rarely see people play tennis there at all, so it just didn't make sense to really be there. But we did hear... we asked the community, LaShawna Cunningham and some other folks that were in our King Park committee, and they didn't think pickleball would really represent that community well. We did hear full court basketball was pretty heavily requested from the schools and from some of our other engagement partners. So we went ahead and added that there.
There's a lot at Blair Park if you're interested in pickleball.
We will have a lot in our Weaver and Prairie master plan as well. I think there's at least like 6 courts planned there in our master plan. So I know that's pretty far, but we'll also still have half court basketball, for those children that are, not going to play with the older kids or the teenagers. So we'll have a space for them as well. And number 23 is our teen hangout terrace. So we'll have shade sail there, solar charging station, line block seating, and I think we're calling it these lounge recliners. They're from Landscape Structures. I believe I do have some pictures below that I can show you. But we're hoping this is a really nice area for kids, teenagers to come after school and just kind of hang out by the basketball court and by 24, which is the challenge course. So be pretty nice. And I do want to mention again that this frontage section is not going to be pursued until later when DCEO comes out with their grants. Right now we're focusing on just this half of the playground or the park. So, are there any questions about any portion of the master plan or any suggestions?
So is there maybe I missed some, is the bike training a part of the master plan, or we decide not to do it?
It's so it would have to go.
I see.
It would go
okay.
in this area
Yep.
along with the splash pad, and
Okay.
we just don't have that
Yeah. Okay.
currently.
So for 24,
Yes.
have you seen the fitness court on the University of Illinois campus? They
Yes.
have, yeah, okay, that's great. Because they have the free charging stations and the little seating areas, and I was just curious.
We're envisioning more something like Blair Park. So there's a challenge course there. We won't have the same pieces. I think we actually just got something in today. I didn't want to add it to this just yet because we're unsure. But it will be similar to Blair Park challenge course. We're calling it a fitness challenge course. So we'll get grant points for that.
And will the younger kids for the half court, is that going to have different, you said that's going to have different sized?
I think we're looking at a hoop that can adjust in size.
Okay.
I have to be sure and check with that.
Yeah.
But I want to say that we'll definitely add something like that to this court,
Okay,
the half court.
yeah, because I just want to make sure the younger kids feel like comfort. I worry, that the older kids are going to come in.
Yeah.
I was the youngest in my family, so I got opinions, but
When
not the youngest.
when we had bank shot basketball, and we noticed a lot of the younger kids would play on the smaller hoops, and try to dunk the basketball on the smaller hoops. So we'll definitely have that conversation.
And then my other thought, if you're doing fundraising, is you've probably thought of this already, but fences, people add names to like fence post, like you buy a fence post and you put your name on it or something. So
Yeah, we have those at Meadowbrook currently. It's gone really well. The only kind of donor aspect we have is the limestone block seating, and we'll think of more things later as we get further into the project, I think. But right now, it's just more of the master plan as a whole and applying for the OSLAD grant.
And then the other question is, have you seen like walking books where people put up signs and you walk in a circle and you read the book as you like? They put up the book is just like word by word by word, and you just walk around and you read the yard signs and you read the book.
Like on concrete, like.
Nope, done yard signs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a nice, like, kind of flexible way to, like, have people read a book as you move forward and you read.
So just like a sign along the path kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm not quite sure how, like, you're thinking more permanent infrastructure, so I guess if you were to do permanent infrastructure, it would have to be more like those poetry. People do these poetry signs where they put like a space in their front yard where they can take the piece of poetry in and out. So I don't know, but I've just seen it as like a yard sign, and then you read the whole book as you walk around, like it was around a baseball field, and you walk around the baseball field and you read the book, and it was a children's book. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Potentially, yeah, if we could change, not have the same book there, all year
Right.
round and swap it
Yeah,
out.
it'd be fun too if the library, I wonder if you couldn't get the library involved somehow to work, because it could be the monthly book, and you walk around and read the book, and
You could have math puzzles, too.
You could do War and
Math
Peace all the way
puzzles.
to Danville on the Kickapoo.
yeah.
It's really heartening to see this kind of imagination and investment in that side of town where it hasn't been done. It's long overdue. And this is really, I'm having a wonderful evening here with the great ideas coming out. So, yeah, I mean, break out the pom-poms again. Do you guys need some kind of support from us?
I am taking letter of supports now. We have one from Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center, Budzinski's office, Fauci's office, and also King School. It wouldn't hurt to add you guys as well. So.
Okay. Is that something we want to talk about at the next meeting? Write in a letter of support?
Yeah,
I would. Well, I have 15 days. Yeah, so
Okay.
maybe we can
maybe we
briefly
can come
talk
up with
about
something
it.
by the end of the meeting. My last question is, because I know you have more slides for us, is Meadowbrook Park is the #1 used park in the Urbana Park system, and my theory is it's because of all just the natural spaces. It's all and so that's my only thought is as the more natural spaces we can put in, the more prairie spaces like you're putting in the rain gardens. I just feel like those are just really, people just get a lot out of those spaces.
Yeah.
They're very welcoming. So that's my last comment.
For sure. For the natural plantings, I also want to add that we will put in specific plantings to attract monarchs because that is the King School's mascot. So we'll definitely play on that as well. And you'll see how we play on it with our signs as well. And also, I want to mention Harvey Street, Gregory Street on the north. Those will also have gateway signs that are on a smaller version scale because people walking down these streets don't really recognize that as a way into the King Park. Especially myself, when I first started working here, I didn't realize that you can access those ways on the north side at least. So, yeah. And hopefully in the future we can acquire this land to go, Goodwin to Lincoln. We really think we call it Frat Park at University of Illinois. It goes from street to street. I forget the street names. I think Daniel Street to, I forget the name, but envisioning that. So, any other questions about?
Yeah, I had a couple small things. You could add more fencing around the playground and do fence posts, like sponsored fence posts, similar to what they have at Meadowbrook. Probably not behind the playground, but if you wanted fencing on the front, then
Right.
yeah, that could be another good place to do that. And then, go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
And then I had a mandatory BPAC question, which is, is there any bike parking in the mess? Bike parking.
Bike parking.
Yes.
I want to say all of our parks should have bike racks currently. It might not be on this master plan.
Because it's already there.
Just like benches we don't have on this master plan, but it should be already there, I want to say. I couldn't tell you exactly where. That's probably bad on my part. But I want to say we do, and I will follow up on that just to make sure.
Great.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
People could donate, we could do monarchs. You could do painted monarchs or some kind of monarchs, and then you would walk through the park and you would see monarchs. Like right now, the Sola Gracia Farm is doing trees. Oh, you could do trees. You can donate money and they'll somehow get a plaque or a name on that tree. So that's another thought.
Yeah, that's a really good idea for sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, if that's all, we'll continue on down. Let's see if we can zoom out here. So this is a rendering we have. This is what we're envisioning it to look like. And you can see in the corner here that we'll have a gateway sign. So it kind of just hangs over the sidewalk. It's not like a full brick sign. It's meant to actually mimic the sculpture, and we can get a closer look at that as I move down. But we have the multi-purpose field there. And also, I did want to answer your question about or a comment about the fencing. Originally, we did have fencing going all the way around. Our budget is getting pretty hefty, so
I assume the amount that somebody would pay to sponsor a fence post would cover the cost of the fence post. If you could get enough sponsors, then maybe you could still do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll definitely mention that. Originally, our idea was to just keep the back half so children wouldn't run past.
Yeah.
With Meadowbrook, we don't go all the way around. We just do the front half.
Interesting.
I know for the pavers we had, there was at least 1,000 of those, so that was a little different. But we typically don't go all the way around the park or playground, I'd say. But it's something to talk about.
Okay.
You could do like monarchs, on posts. I don't know, it'd be beautiful. And those could be sponsored. But yeah, to stop the kids. That's the only reason. You're not trying to yeah, I know.
There are monarchs on this sign here. We'll get a closer look. You can't see it from here, but we'll keep going down. So that's what it looks like. And we'll also have the interpretive signage mimicking the sculpture. So I believe that's a piece of the Pettis Bridge that is on the sculpture. So it just kind of mimics that in a way. And the monarchs you see there is kind of a translucent, I forget the material, almost like a resin that'll be sort of see-through but not. And so this interpretive signage will definitely be talking about Preston Jackson and his work and how it relates to the history. And here you get a look at the line block seating down here, and you can see names and maybe etched along there. And we're going to go with our original park sign. It's always a staple. Yeah.
That's an old bug. Good heavens, it's from the 70s.
Yeah, we hope the beetle will be there, right? It'll be a feature of the park.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be parked in our new angle parking.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a closer look. This is the sculpture piece that's currently on the tennis court fences where the full court and half court basketball will be. So we're brainstorming about, adding it to the northeast corner or keeping it on the playground fence where we're visiting it. So it'll be just a nice pop of color as you're driving down Lincoln, maybe just something eye-catching. And so beloved community is something we heard from our King Park committee. It's a quotation from Dr. King himself, but it would really represent that community as a whole.
Yeah, and I think it's exciting. What's exciting about these plans is, as a person who likes to jog around, it's just you want to jog around interesting things, right? And so it's just going to increase the number of people that want to come here. People driving down the street, we want their eyes on the road. So yeah.
No, I understand that. Yeah, definitely. It was just, an idea. We do have other interpretive signage around, I want to say, going around the park here, if I can find it. I can't exactly point it out right now, but we have plans for more signage along the trail as well. And now for the playground. So this was, I think, Game Time, Cunningham Recreation. So this is what we're looking at here. It almost kind of looks like Meadowbrook Park in a way. I think that's just the modern style nowadays. If you can see in the background, we do have Dream, just, as kind of a shout out to Dr. King there. And King School, of course, as well. And this also represents the colors of King School, so black and orange.
As a parent, I can immediately identify one big difference between this and the Meadowbrook playground, which is that this design is very good for younger kids, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, the Meadowbrook structure is pretty tall.
It's a little tall, and my 3-year-old son likes to climb up it, and it terrifies me.
Yeah.
But this looks great.
Thank you. We sometimes hear that kids don't like to come down, but, So.
Well, a letter of support then?
Whoa, I want to see the rest of these photos.
Yeah, there's a couple more. We'll have to
Watching the clock up here.
Oh, well, okay.
scroll through these pretty quickly. And then these are just our inspiration images we used. This is just an example. So we will have a Gaga ball pit. I'm so sorry I missed over that. It'll be next to the playground. This is a new amenity. It's like a soft form of dodgeball. It was very popular with all the kids I talked to. They were very happy we're adding this. They play it during their PE. So we will have that as well. It also gives us grant points with the new amenity.
I never had this feedback on a steering committee, but I just heard recently from my 8-year-old daughter that Gaga ball is very cool, and they play it at Lille all the time.
Yeah. It's
So do you
very
only need
popular
one
there.
Gaga ball pit, or do you need two, or?
It's just one, so
Okay.
it'll be on a concrete pad and wood fencing around it. So, yeah. And just quickly go over the budget for the OSLAD portion. This is, I believe, 1.2 million. We're asking for 630,000, or no, just 600,000 from OSLAD. We'll match that with our 630,000 ourselves. We're looking to, usually they award around January, February. We're thinking to start construction either that summer, fall. If not, we'll start it spring of 2028 and finish around fall of 2028. So, and we usually have a 2-year window to complete our grant opportunity. So between 27 and 28, we should have something done.
For the peace poles, would you be just painting new ones every year, working with like the kids, maybe doing a new art project every year, or what's the thought process?
So the peace poles currently there, I believe, are from our Urbana Rotary Club. We could look at some different options to do peace poles, but that's a good idea, actually, so we'll keep that in mind as well.
I know Urbana High School did one last year, and, so different people do them, and the students just love doing them, but they don't know where to put them. Like, they just kind of ran into it.
A little
like,
awkward.
Yeah, because people are like, and I was like, well, we could just make this beautiful garden of peace poles.
Yeah, we do. We want to keep them probably in these little triangular spaces, but they can go in the plantings there, so we'll see for sure.
Maybe they line Lincoln Avenue. We just line them up.
That would be distracting. But that's all I have for you guys. If you have any more questions, you can talk to me now or email me. We will be submitting our grant application maybe sometime next week before the 30th or on the 30th, but by the 30th for sure. So thank you for the support.
And then in regards to imagery of Martin Luther King, there will be the one piece of artwork that you're going to pull down and highlight further.
Yeah, and we also have big peace letters. I don't know if you've seen those on the fence. I don't have a picture of it here. Those will also go on the playground there. And we also will incorporate, just real quick, this is from a different playground. This is another option we had. So we know King School is a multi-language school. They speak over 40-plus languages, so we do want to add in some panelings with just different words and letterings that have different languages. So these were some of the options we had on different playgrounds, and we want to incorporate those in the new playground for sure. So there's a
And I
Dr.
love
King one there.
the dream. I mean, just dream is beautiful. That's a beautiful idea, whoever came up with that, getting dream on there.
Well,
I think
thanks
it's
to our
just
King Park
fantastic.
committee.
Yeah.
That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Do we want to pass a resolution or some sort of something?
Send Carmen a draft letter of support that she knows better how to bounce to the group than I can from this iPad. Can you do that if I send it to you? Sure. Okay. It's just very short. Urbana Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee strongly endorses the fall 2025 site plan for the renewal and expansion of King Park. We regard the plan as both creative and pragmatic and potentially a great enhancement to community life for neighborhoods adjoining the Martin Luther King Elementary School. Period.
Do we?
Have to say it's contingent on bike parking, I guess.
We'll see about that.
You're
It's
going to
there.
trust the park district to some extent here.
We should have a bike parking station at every park, I want to say. So.
So how do we do this? Should I move that as a? Okay.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think we should just. It's such a nice. I think we can just pass that forward.
How does it go forward? As a
Yeah,
letter?
we have a quorum. We can just. I think we can just read it. I would read it into the record. Do you need a formal letter from us, or what would be helpful?
Yeah, we do have draft letters that I've been sending out to people. So I mean, I could draft it. I could send it to all of you and review, maybe. I don't know how this would. How,
Yeah,
You've got one.
that's okay.
That one's okay, and just
Yeah, that works as well.
on the city letterhead, and who can sign it ex officio? I mean, can we just, otherwise it's gonna have to wait till past the deadline. Go.
I could sign on behalf of BPAC if we're all going to vote to support this.
I say we vote to support, I say we read the letter officially, we vote to, if people wish to vote to support it, we support it, and then, yeah, we can forward it.
Okay.
Okay, one more reading of it then, or was, okay. Ahem. The Urbana Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee strongly endorses the Fall 2025 site plan for the renewal and expansion of King Park. We regard the plan as both creative and pragmatic, and potentially a great enhancement to community life for neighborhoods adjoining the Martin Luther King Elementary School, period.
All right, do we have any more discussion about this? Would we, if those of us who would like to vote in favor, say yay? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those who oppose, say nay. The yays have it, or the
Now-
ayes. The ayes have it.
Okay, just a technical thing. Does he have to abstain, and then do we still have a quorum?
Oh, you stinker. No, he's here wearing two hats. I think it's okay, right?
I think it's okay. Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah, I have an approval letter coming up next too, so let's.
You can ask to step out, but you don't have to. Yeah. And this is not in regards to, this isn't a monetary. Right. This isn't, yeah, there's nothing funky going on here. Yep.
Are we ready to talk about another letter of support?
All right,
Okay.
we are doing a great job tonight. The last thing is the Safe Routes to School 2025 grant application, letter of support, Public Works.
All right, so this letter is the last page in your packet. It's in front of you. So this was drafted by the Safe Routes to School Committee that's led by MTD. Other than this letter, I was just going to share what is in the grant application. So I have a summary from Abby from MTD, who's leading the committee. So she says that the application is going to include print educational materials and incentives for distribution to schools and at events, signage and supplies to support the Snow Angels campaign. So that's yard signs, snow shovels, hats, gloves, etc. Advertising funds for an educational/safety awareness campaign to be run during the 2026-2027 school year. Funds to support and expand Bike Month activities, such as contributing as an official sponsor. MTD already is, but the Safe Routes to School Committee is in the background, and updating outreach strategies. And also other supplies to facilitate the walking school bus program, which the school district has committed to supporting alongside grant funding. They are also investing in the walk and roll to school day and bike and roll to school day events, and purchase presentation materials for in-school assemblies and bike rodeos. So I'm not sure what the final funding amount is that they're applying for, but I think it'll be very close to the maximum they can apply for, the 50,000, and that'll cover 2 years of events and materials that I've just listed here.
I have one momentous correction.
Yes.
After Biagi, you should have a colon rather than a comma.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Why?
a business letter. Usually have a colon.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
I think the last sentence is, please do not hesitate to contact me, but I don't know if we're signing as an individual.
Right.
That's how the template is written, but I can always take that
Yeah,
line
okay.
out.
Yeah, maybe we could just change it to us, I guess.
I mean, I am on the committee for Safe Routes to School too, so.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have a point person. Yeah. It's always easier too.
Put your name in instead of the neither. And just,
Yeah, if I'm signing it, on behalf of BPAC.
okay,
They
again.
can reach out to me for questions too.
Yeah, if you're the contact person anyway, then let's just
Yeah,
be
that,
real.
that's fine. Yeah.
I think it's great. Clean,
Yeah, it's great.
straightforward.
Yep.
So similar to the letter for the Park District, I can be the point person here. If we, vote
Great.
to support this, I'll just sign off on behalf of BPAC.
Great.
But actually, okay, I'm working at Parkland, and a lot of this stuff has loosened up, but you wouldn't want the word deer in the business letter part. You would just say, colon. But it really isn't, I don't think it's a matter of import.
They're not going to get mad about it.
Never.
When I do letters of recommendation, things, usually it's a deer and a colon at the end.
Oh,
That's pretty
okay.
much what-
Then, I am sure you are right.
All right, would we like to vote to approve this letter?
Yes. Or I would
I'll
like to
second
vote
it.
on it.
We'd like to vote on it. We'd
Yeah,
like to
to-
vote on it.
Yeah.
Do we have any discussion about this letter beyond the grammatical? The fussing. I have to say, it's pretty amazing, Carmen. Just to shout out to you for a second is this is a picky committee. Like we are a picky committee, and to have us picking out merely grammatical errors. Normally, there's like just one member of this committee who will just be like, "Oh, cross that out, move this around." So just
You need bike parking in it.
yeah, we need bike parking.
I can't
What's
take
the bike
credit.
parking in this letter?
This
So-
was written by MTD.
Good job, MTD. Shouting out to MTD right now. Anyway, so do we have any further comments on this letter? Would we like to put this up for a vote?
I move to put it up for a vote.
All right.
I move to vote to approve this letter.
I second that.
All right. Do we have any, I keep saying yays, do we have any yeses to this?
All those in favor say aye, is what you're trying to do?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, matey.
All those who are not in favor say no, nay. All right, the ayes have it. Can anyone explain to me what the history of ayes are versus yay?
After the meeting.
Thank you. So we are now, do you have any further discussion, Carmen, or are we moving on to announcements?
We can move on to announcements.
All right, does anyone have any announcements for us?
I had a couple things, mostly because MTD isn't here. So they haven't officially announced the bike and roll to school day, but tentatively planned for October 8th. I emailed the group about this earlier today, the CU Active Transportation Plan. The survey is out now. It's open until October 20th. So it's prior to our next BPAC meeting. They are RPC is leading this plan effort, and they are getting bike and pedestrian counts right now at a number of locations. So if you're interested in what those are across Urbana, I can share them with you. But there's several. They're currently working on that, and they're ongoing for the rest of the month and into early October.
Carmen, yes. At a future topic, when they're available, I think it'd be really nice to see those numbers. Yes.
Sure. And then another MTD one, they are doing bike and pedestrian trainings called Risk Watch at the elementary schools next week. And then I think there's a couple upcoming bike rides that I have seen posted in various places. Champaign County Bikes is doing one on the 20th. Is that the one you already mentioned at the beginning? Or is that different? Okay, that's the same one. RPC might be doing a bike tour on the 19th around Urbana Parks. I don't think anything officially has been planned yet, but if you're interested, that's that.
And I believe that bike ride will be the 21st on a Sunday afternoon. Not the 20th. There's.
Oh, so this is a different one. So I saw this from Champaign County Bikes email, I think, a Saturday morning road ride. That's why.
All
I
right.
had this written down, right. Lots of bike rides. That's all I've got.
All right, there will be, Sola Gracia Farms is doing walktails on September 20th. You can see they're doing a planting in the morning, but if you'd like to take a walk and have a nice non-alcoholic drink with you, you can go see the plantings and check out the farm, and that's at Sola Gracia Farms on 2200 South Philo Road, and that starts at 3 p.m. I've done these in the past, and they are very enjoyable. There will be a witches ride this year. We're still fussing over the dates. There's one witch that flies a lot, so we have to make sure that she's flying with us that weekend. But I think it'll probably be Sunday, October 26th, but don't hold me to that. And we have a very fun route. We're hoping to bike down Green Street, bike around the quad, and some of the things. So it's going to be a very fun afternoon. And I think that's all I have. Any other announcements? Anything else? Nope. All right. So now we are moving on to future topics. We have an ADA transition plan update. Carmen, I think this is you.
These are to be discussed in the future.
These future topics? Okay, so I see what you're trying to say. I see what you're trying to say here. These are
not
future
today,
topics.
later.
This is not for tonight. Does anybody else have any other, one of my future topics you've already brought up, which is the Urbana Bicycle Pedestrian, our plan, the bike plan, but it sounds like we're going to look into maybe getting funding to have that be reviewed officially and considered differently.
Yeah, I don't remember if I talked about this last month, but I think we are considering combining the bike and pedestrian master plans for the next iteration of the bike plan and having RPC work on that for us after they're finished with their active transportation plan. So I don't believe that will happen until 2027, but it's on their radar. We've discussed.
Would they be able to combine bike, walk, transit?
I don't know.
Okay, that's exciting. Yeah, that's great. I've always found it frustrating that these plans are separate when most people don't operate that way. They operate across all of the forms. All right, that's exciting. We'd like to talk about bike parking at King Park, specifically in 2028, when it's implemented. No, seriously, are there any other topics that we'd like to talk about before we adjourn?
We're going to have to talk about scooters down the road. That's going to come to us in ways that we're not going to be able to avoid. It doesn't need to go on an agenda, but watch out, okay?
I could talk about Bike Illinois has been doing some good updates and some good legislation on different bikes and how they're being used in e-motos versus e-bikes. I could just talk about the legislation that's gone through, or we don't have to. I don't know if that's of interest to anyone, but I'm happy to just do a general update on that. Okay.
Move to adjourn, or what do we do?
All right, and I think with that, we can adjourn the meeting. All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Annie.